Hey everyone, and welcome. Ever stop to think? With the internet and global brands connecting us more than ever, are we all slowly just becoming the same? Is the world heading toward one big, single culture? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. Let's find out. Okay, so here's a quick look at our game plan. We'll start by looking at how our world got so connected in the first place. Then, we'll zoom in on the role that big brands play in all this. After that, we hit the main event. Are we all becoming the same? We'll explore the two sides of that debate, weigh the pros and cons, and finally, see how the local and the global really mix. Ready? Let's do this.
All right, let's kick things off with our first section, our connected world. I mean, seriously, how did we get so interconnected? Let's dig in.
Let me just ask you this. Why is it that you could be watching a show on Netflix in, say, Brazil, and someone in Japan is hooked on the exact same series? It's kind of wild when you stop and think about it, right? Well, the answer comes down to one really big, important word: globalization.
And look, when we say globalization, we're not just talking about economics or cargo ships. It's so much deeper than that. It's this whole process where countries are getting more and more integrated across the board. We're talking culture, society, technology, you name it. It's like this invisible web that connects all of our daily lives.
So what's fueling this engine? Well, it's a bunch of stuff that you and I use literally every day. You've got the internet, of course. You've got social media, where ideas just spread like wildfire. International trade. That's why you can find products from all over the world in your local store. And then you have these huge multinational companies, and of course, streaming platforms. All these things are working together to make the world feel a whole lot smaller.
And the speed of it all is just mind-blowing. A trend that starts in Korea can genuinely be all over Brazil in a matter of seconds. Something that once might have taken decades to cross oceans now happens in the time it takes to refresh your feed. It's wild.
Okay, that brings us to our next section. Let's talk about some of the corporate engines that are really driving this. We're talking about global brands.
So how exactly do these big brands shape our culture? Well, just think about it. Companies like Nike or Apple, they're not just selling you a shoe or a phone. They're selling you an idea, a lifestyle. And by pushing that same lifestyle in countries all over the world, they end up influencing everything, from what we wear, to how we act, to even the language we use. They basically connect who we are to what we buy. And this part is so powerful. It gets to a point where buying or using a certain brand becomes a way to belong socially, you know? It's not just that you like the phone, it's what that phone says about you. It's like a little badge that tells the world, hey, I get it, I'm part of this global community.
All right, this is where things start to get really juicy. This brings us to the big question of the day. With all these powerful forces at work, are we all just becoming the same?
I mean, just look at the impact of digital media. Trends on TikTok or Instagram, they spread instantly. The algorithms are designed to show popular content to everyone, everywhere. So what happens? You get young people all over the world watching incredibly similar videos, listening to similar music. It creates this kind of shared digital culture where styles and slang can feel surprisingly universal no matter where you live.
So that leads us right to the heart of it. This is the central question, right? With all this mixing and matching, are we actually becoming one single global culture?
Well, to really answer that, we have to look at two big ideas that are kind of battling it out. It's a showdown between homogenization and hybridization. Think of them as two sides of the same cultural coin.
Okay, so let's break these down. On one side, you have cultural homogenization. This is basically the idea that all the world's cultures are becoming more and more alike, that a dominant, often Western culture is kind of steamrolling over local traditions. But on the other side, you have cultural hybridization. This theory says, hold on a minute, local cultures don't just disappear. Instead, they mix with global trends to create something totally new, unique, and, well, hybrid. They adapt, they transform.
So if you're making the case for homogenization, you might point out that, yeah, local cultures are losing some ground to global trends. Tastes and behaviors are becoming more standardized, and let's be real, a lot of it is dominated by Western and particularly American culture. The classic example is walking through a city anywhere in the world and seeing the same stores, hearing the same songs, and seeing people in the same kinds of clothes.
But the case for hybridization is super compelling too. This idea says that local cultures are resilient, they adapt. Global things get remixed to fit local tastes. A perfect example is McDonald's. They don't just sell the same menu everywhere. In India, you can get a McSpicy paneer burger. That's hybridization. Or think about K-pop. It's this incredible blend of Korean identity with Western pop music that created a totally new global phenomenon.
So it's pretty clear this is a complex debate. And like most complex things, this massive cultural shift has its upsides and its downsides. So let's talk about the good and the bad.
Okay, first, the good stuff. We have way greater access to information than ever before. Check. We can connect with so many different cultures right from our phones. Check. This creates all these amazing opportunities for cultural exchange and learning, and it can lead to more global opportunities for people. Lots of positives. But there's always a but, isn't there? Let's talk about the bad. There's a real fear about the weakening of traditional cultures and languages. There's the standardization of lifestyles. You also have the rise of this intense consumerism, this feeling like you have to have certain things to fit in. And a really tough one is the pressure to follow global beauty standards, which can be super harmful. So yeah, there are definitely downsides to consider. So, after all that, where does that leave us? Let's pull all these threads together in our final section, where local meets global and we find a new kind of identity.
So what's the verdict? Well, it's not really an either-or answer. We're not just becoming one single culture. A better way to think about it is that we're living in a world where a global culture coexists with our local cultures. They live side by side. You can be obsessed with a K-pop band and also love your grandma's traditional cooking. Both can be true.
And this is probably the biggest takeaway of all. Our identities today are just this fascinating mix, right? We're part local and part global. We're part traditional and part digital. We're a little bit regional and a little bit international, all at the same time. So maybe the real question isn't whether the world is becoming one culture, but instead, how do you personally balance all these different parts of your own identity? It's something for all of us to think about. Thanks for joining me.